What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Okay, let me ask you something. You think you're a law-abiding citizen, right? You pay your taxes, you don't run red lights, you're generally a good egg. But what if I told you that right now, depending on where you are, you might be breaking a law so bonkers, so utterly bizarre, it sounds like it was written by a sleep-deprived squirrel? Trust me, you are not ready for what we dug up today. We're diving deep into the dusty, weird corners of legal systems around the globe to find 5 laws that are technically still on the books, or are so widely believed they might as well be, in 2025. And some of these, wow, just wow. Stick around, because number 3 is going to make you question reality itself. Let's go! Alright, first up, we're heading to Russia and some neighboring countries. Ladies, and anyone who appreciates fine undergarments, listen up. In 2014, the Eurasian Economic Union, which includes Russia, put a ban on lacy underwear. Yep, you heard me. Now, before you start picturing the fashion police raiding lingerie drawers, the official reason is actually health and safety. The regulation states that clothing touching your skin must contain at least 6% cotton, mainly for hygroscopic reasons. Basically, how well it absorbs moisture. And a lot of synthetic lace doesn't make the cut. So, while it sounds silly, there is a technical regulation behind it. Still, imagine getting a ticket for illegal lace. There were even protests when it came out. Can you blame them? Okay, from the intimate to the existential. Our next stop is China, and this one's a mind-bender. Did you know that in China, it's essentially illegal to reincarnate without government permission? I know, how on earth do you enforce that? But this is real. It's called the State Administration for Religious Affairs Order No. 5, and it was brought in back in 2007. It basically says that Buddhist monks, particularly within Tibetan Buddhism, have to apply to the government before they're allowed to be recognized as a reincarnated living Buddha. Now, obviously, this isn't really about controlling souls, it's deeply political, especially concerning the selection of high-profile figures like the Dalai Lama. China wants to control the process. Think about the implications though. Can you imagine a government department handling reincarnation applications? It's one of those things where reality feels stranger than any movie plot. How would you even begin to regulate that? It's wild. Let's hop over to the US of A, specifically Arizona. Now, you might have heard this one. It's a classic on weird laws lists. It's illegal for a donkey to sleep in a bathtub. The story goes, way back in the 1920s in a town called Kingman, a rancher let his donkey sleep in an old tub outside. Then, a local dam burst, a flash flood came through, and whoosh. Away went the donkey, tub and all. The town spent a ton of effort rescuing the poor fella, and supposedly, to prevent that specific, highly unlikely scenario from ever happening again, they passed a law. But here's the twist, is it really a law? We dug deep, and well, most legal experts say this one is likely a myth. It's a fantastic story, probably based on a real event, but it was likely never an actual statute on the books. It's one of those legends that's just too good not to repeat, right? So, while you probably won't get arrested, maybe just find another spot for your donkey to nap. Just in case? Next, we're off to the beautiful, misty lands of Scotland. And this one's all about hospitality. You might have heard that in Scotland, if a stranger knocks on your door and asks to use your toilet, you have to let them in. It's the law. Sounds pretty amazing for tourists after a few too many cups of tea, doesn't it? This law is often tied to Scotland's ancient hospitality traditions, and the fact that they don't have strict trespass laws like many other places. It's this idea of being open and welcoming. But much like our donkey friend, is it an actual, enforceable law today? Again, the evidence is shaky. Many Scots have never heard of it, and legal scholars call it an urban myth. It probably stems more from a strong cultural expectation of kindness than a legal obligation. So, while Scots are famously friendly, maybe don't go banging on doors demanding entry just yet. Still, it's a lovely idea for a law, isn't it? And finally, for our 5th and perhaps most personally dangerous law, we travel to the stunning Pacific islands of Samoa. Gentlemen, listen very carefully. It is said that in Samoa, it is illegal to forget your wife's birthday. That's right. Forget that special day and you could apparently face, well, consequences. Maybe even a warning or a fine. This one pops up all over the internet. Can you imagine? Sorry, honey, I got held up at the police station for forgetting. And you might be sensing a theme here. Finding the actual piece of legislation, the specific law in the Samoan legal code, is incredibly difficult. Most sources are other weird law lists. Is it a real law, or is it perhaps a very strong social custom, a cultural understanding so powerful that it feels like a law? Maybe it's a brilliant way to ensure marital harmony backed by a bit of legendary legal weight? Either way, real law or not, fellas, maybe just don't forget the birthday, okay? Probably good advice anywhere in the world. So there you have it. Lacy underwear, reincarnation permits, napping donkeys, open-door toilets, and forgotten birthdays. It's a wild world out there, legally speaking. But what does all this tell us? We've seen a couple that are real, if a bit specific, like the Russian and Chinese examples. And we've seen a few that are probably myths, legends passed down or blown out of proportion, like in Arizona, Scotland, and Samoa. Why do these old, weird, or possibly mythical laws stick around? Well, sometimes it's just harder to repeal an old law than it is to just stop enforcing it. Think of it like old code in a computer program. Sometimes it's easier to just leave it there. Hey, also become part of a place's identity, a quirky footnote in its history. They reflect past worries, specific events, or cultural values. They're like legal fossils, telling us stories about the people who came before us. And let's be honest, they're pretty funny, right? But this all makes me wonder. What does it say about law itself? How many rules that seem perfectly normal to us today will look completely bizarre to people in 100 years? Are laws always meant to be strictly followed, or do some just serve as guidelines, or even just stories we tell ourselves about who we are, or who we were? And what about unwritten laws? What's the weirdest rule or social expectation where you live, something everyone knows but isn't actually written down anywhere? I genuinely want to know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. This stuff is fascinating. If you enjoyed this trip down the rabbit hole of legal weirdness, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss our next adventure. We've got some seriously cool stuff coming up you won't want to miss. Thanks for hanging out, stay curious, and maybe double check your local bathtub ordinances. You never know. See you next time.